Good morning, grade 10s. How is everybody? Awesome, good. The sun is shining. It's starting to look up, you guys. It's starting to look up. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm still waiting. I noticed there's still a discrepancy between the live classroom and Blackboard, so I'm just gonna make sure that everyone gets in to Blackboard and the live classroom just to make sure we don't leave anyone behind. I don't know if Miss Mack yesterday mentioned to you guys or if you guys noticed that the calendar in the homeroom is actually a little wonky. So I don't know if you guys noticed that, but that last week in February, you can't see anything, right? Good, she did mention it. Thank you, good, I'm glad. So because of that, you guys, I'm just gonna quickly make sure that we know where we're at for our week. Don't worry, Caitlin, you're not even that late. We literally just got started. So there's nothing major happening. We're on Tuesday. So nothing major is happening tomorrow, okay? There was nothing on the calendar for tomorrow. What is happening though, on Thursday, remember we do not have social studies on Thursday, right? I'm pretty sure Miss Mack has already covered this with you, but we'll go over it one more time, right? So Thursday, no social studies. You guys have an extra day of science. So we're gonna jam pack today's class so that I can get you on the same pace as the grade 9s for Heritage Fair. So just remember on Thursday, you guys, it's basically science, right? So you're arriving at KSS at 8:45. Okay, you're gonna meet in the multipurpose area, which is basically right in the front doors. And then arrange for pickup at 10:45 at KSS, okay? Make sure to bring a pencil, tie back your long hair because you're gonna be doing an experiment, right? Nobody needs to be set on fire because you know how Miss Mack likes to set people on fire, AKA her husband, right? And I'm never gonna let her live that one down. And try to not wear any loose clothing, right? That can and stuff like that. So that is really it. And then I'm wondering, obviously Friday, there's nothing for you guys, except the following. Remember, those of you that are interested in the healthcare career day. Now, I believe though, this you will be able to access. Let's go to March. Yes, see, it is there, you guys. Okay, so it's funny, it's just those last 3 days in February on the calendar that you can't see. But once you click into March, you're able to get in there. Okay, so totally fine. And you should be able to get the link and stuff for the KGH Health Career Day. Okay, so if you are interested, remember all you're gonna do, and I put up the schedule and stuff. Did you guys notice that? So when you click in here, here's the schedule. Okay, so you can take a look, and I did take a look, you guys. So it doesn't look like there is, remember we were talking and asking, and Jess, I always think of you, for a surgeon. Doesn't look like there's an actual surgeon. I thought there was, but there is a physician. Okay, so that sort of thing. No, you don't have socials tomorrow, Jocelyn. No, you have science 2 days in a row. Yes. So we're just basically, today is the only social studies class this week. We're just gonna jam pack it today so that you're on track for Heritage Fair. All right. Oh, Caitlin, interesting question. Don't know where that came from, but I know there is, oh, I don't know, Caitlin, did she? I have no idea. Caitlin, I know there's not, like there's those contests, right? Where, you know, like those professional hot dog eaters and stuff, but I don't know if they get paid for that, right? I think that's just to get into like the Guinness Book of World Records and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe you look that up. I don't know if prize money could sustain you. All right. So that's really what this week is looking like. All right. So if you guys want, yeah, Caitlin, we'll have to see. Does anybody else know? Did Miss Matt cancel class, you guys, for tomorrow? She did. Okay, there we go. So confirmation, class tomorrow for science is canceled. So you're having it on Thursday. right, instead, which is totally fine. All right, so I want to get started, you guys, because first of all, number one, make sure to get your coins in on your Weebly link. Thank you, Bryn, for reminding me that you guys no longer had access to your Weebly links. So you will notice that on Social Studies, the Social Studies page, I did put a Weebly quick link, you guys, back in there so you can upload your Social Studies page and upload your assignment and stuff. So that is all there now, all right? I've taken a look at those of you who have handed it in. Awesome, amazing. So good so far, you guys. And not even just your coins. It's not even the coins. I loved reading your reflections. So I haven't actually marked any of them yet, you guys, but I did go quickly in and just do some scanning and it looked really good. Okay. Christiana, what are you in reference to? What lecture? Which one? Oh, good question. Mr. Ross, do you know that? Is it going to be, is KGH recorded?
Yes.
Yes, and so we can put the link up?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go, Christiana. Yes, it will be. So I will get that link and make sure that it gets put up as well. Okay, perfect. Great question. Okay, so I think that's it for this, you guys. I'm going to head to social studies now. So I have to tell you guys a little story. I don't know if you guys know, but I dance, right? I take dance lessons, right? I do hip hop, and I blew out my knee last night in dance. So I'm a little sore, and usually I go home and I create a nice little PowerPoint for you guys and it looks all pretty. But because I blew out my knee last night, I was like, no, it's not happening today. So we're going straight off the assignment. I do have a little bit of a PowerPoint embedded into the assignment, so that kind of helps. But it's not going to be as pretty today. Sorry, you guys. Yeah, I know, right? Caitlin, I've been there, done that. My knee's been going out for years when I played basketball and stuff. I have partially torn MCL, ACL. So it like pops in and out, and so it's not a huge deal to me. It just always happens. It just sucks that, you know, I wasn't able to work out today or anything like that, right? I got to rest, which is hard for me to do. All right, so Heritage Fair. Ladies and gentlemen, we are starting Heritage Fair today. So, as most of you know, with the Heritage Fair, I think most of you guys have actually been through Heritage Fair. There may be a few of you who are new to the program who haven't been through it, and that's totally fine. I walk you through it step by step, okay? It's okay. All right? Now, what we're gonna do is, number one, we also do this with the grade 9s, you guys. So I am also teaching the grade 9s at this point with Mr. Fender, okay? We're gonna go over that today, Caitlin, okay? We're gonna go over that today. And so that's, so they got their first lesson on how to find the right project today, or yesterday. So I get to do this with you guys today. Because we don't have class, I'm actually gonna do kind of 2 mini lessons with you guys. Cross my fingers if we have enough time to get you, to keep you on track, because tomorrow I'll do the other lesson with the grade 9s as well. Okay, you absolutely can have partners, Paige. Absolutely, yeah. So you guys can totally do this with partners. So we're gonna get started, you guys. Now, we've done this strategy before, okay? I wanna do 100 ideas in, oh yeah, absolutely, Luna. Yep, you can either do it with partners or on your own. Completely up to you guys, okay? That's your voice and choice in this. We've done this strategy before. We're gonna do 100 ideas in 10 minutes. Okay, so very, very similar to what we did at the beginning of the year with the social studies and what is a historian. I want to look at basically, I want you to put ideas up on the whiteboard. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Any ideas that you have around Canadian history, because that is the one stipulation for a project for Heritage Fair. It has to be based in Canadian history. It has to have some sort of Canadian element. All right? Okay? So I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes on the timer, and then I'm going to give you whiteboard privilege. And I just want you guys to put ideas on the whiteboard. I want to see if we can come up with 100 ideas in 10 minutes based on Canadian history. This can be anything that projects you've already seen, right? From last year, maybe it's a project that you've already done. Put that idea up there. Maybe it's something that you're passionate about. Put it up there, okay? Anything that you guys want. There's no bad ideas. This is just to get our creative juices flowing, right? And it might spark something, okay? So I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes up on the timer. I'm just going to get my thing showing here. Okay, so everybody should have whiteboard privilege now. All right. And then we'll put 10 minutes on the timer, you guys. And just make sure that your writing is big enough on the whiteboard, you guys, so that we can actually read it on the live classroom as well, right? So around that 14 to 18 point size. All right, so I'm going to bring up the whiteboard as well here. All right, and we'll get 10 minutes on the timer, you guys. And let's see how many ideas. The grade 9s got up to about 60 in 10 minutes. So start going. Go. Excellent job, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so here is what I've noticed, you guys. You did a fantastic job. I don't think we actually got right to 100, but that's okay, because look at all the ideas that were being generated, right? All of these are fantastic ideas, okay? I love it. So some of them are super, super big, gigantic ideas, right? Right? When we talk about, women's rights, that is a huge idea, okay? Versus something super specific, like one person, like Gord Downey or something like that, right? That's huge, okay? Sorry, Angelina, I just saw your message. And yes, that would be great. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, and it was funny. I love that idea of the day I was born. That would be super interesting to find out if there was anything like a historical significance. I don't know if you guys are too young, right? But you never know. Maybe something of historical significance happened, right? So anyways, these are fantastic ideas, you guys. Great ideas. So if something here sparks your interest, take a look at it, right? Now, what I want to do though, is head back to the assignment. So we just did this. Now I want to go over though this. What is Heritage Fair, and really how to find that right, the right project. That's okay, Jess. Yeah, we all saw. I loved, the first doctor idea. That's fantastic, right? So how to find the right project. So really what we need to do though is take a step back and really think though, what is Heritage Fair? Because some of you actually have never experienced Heritage Fair, right? And maybe you don't know, right? So I really do want to take a step back and just explain the process a little bit before we delve into how do we find a better topic, right? So I'm just going to turn off the whiteboard for you guys and just continue on here. So in a Heritage Fair project, you guys are going to learn the many ways how the past shapes our lives today. We're connecting the past to today, right? The day of the fair is actually just the celebration of your learning journey, right? It's not the end product. It's really that celebration of what did you guys learn during this process, okay? Students from grades 4 to 10 is really who is participating in a Heritage Fair. They follow their curiosity around history and they present their learning to an authentic audience. So now when I say authentic audience, right, what does that actually mean? An authentic audience, ladies and gentlemen, is one that it's an audience that is really interested in what you have to say. Okay, so it's going to be your teachers, it's going to be your peers. There potentially are going to be parents that come and check out the projects. There might even be community members that come on in to check out the projects, right? Even when we just do our school one. Because remember, when we do our school Heritage Fair, I usually rent out the Hollywood Gym, right? Like we did last year up in Rutland. And then we end up getting or other teachers or board members or whoever's in the building that day. They kind of like wander in and is like, what's going on here, right? And they just come in and ask questions. So that's an authentic audience. So you guys are basically going to choose a topic in Canadian history. You're going to develop a research question, okay? And then you find sources, primary and secondary sources, to answer that question. And then you organize a display board or a video or a PowerPoint or however you want to display. Most students do the trifold display board. You don't have to, okay, to present their learning to their peers, the public, and their teachers, okay? So what I want to do is go over some project examples with you guys. And why I'm going over these is because they have specific viewpoints around their topic, all right? So this has to do with choosing a topic. So if you take a look at this project was done on the death of Janet Smith, okay? Absolutely, Emily. Yep, you can totally do that. So people, the death of Janet Smith, okay? Now, Janet Smith was not a hugely well-known person in BC history, okay? But she was known as the Scottish Nightingale, and there was a big mystery around her death. You know, the coroner said it was suicide, but actually it ended up being murder. So there was murder and intrigue, and, you know, it was around drugs and kidnapping and racism, right? All of this major stuff, okay? Now, why I chose this one to showcase to you guys is because it showcases the viewpoint of, you can look at people in the past. So you can focus on a specific person to do a project on, right? You guys came up with some of those people in your ideas, right? Gord Downie, and they don't have to be super, super famous like Janet Smith. How many of you guys even know who Janet Smith is? I didn't even know who Janet Smith was, right? So that, so it doesn't have to be super famous, right? Or it can be, totally up to you guys. Maybe it's going to be Naismith with basketball or whatever it is, right? But this student really highlighted this person, okay, within her project. So you can see she actually did a comic strip that portrayed the timeline of events of her death. Then she did a diorama of the crime scene. And then she actually had her classmates help her out, and they reenacted her death as well in a little skit, okay? Now, Jess, I'm not sure I really understand your question there. Yeah, your project does have to have a connection to Canadian history. Yes, like if that's what you're asking. It could be both, Emily. You could do someone in the past who has affected history, or it can be someone present day who you believe is affecting current history, right? No, Jess, you do not have a connection to you personally. We're going to talk about that, okay? Because you can, but you don't have to, okay? Absolutely not, okay? So that's one viewpoint of, that's right, Slade. So yeah, absolutely, Caitlin. Why not? I think Drake has had a huge effect on our culture, really? Yeah, for sure. On our music industry, Drake has been one of the most forefront artists out there for hip hop, right? Yeah. So one viewpoint is people in the past, to look at it from a person, okay? Another way, and again, this came up, I think I saw this on Emily's list, is looking at local buildings or monuments and the history behind those things. So this student, these guys are not from Kelowna, obviously, but they looked at, this was a group of students who looked at their preschool and the history of their preschool, okay, the Lynn Valley Preschool. So it's that, you know, you can take a look at a building or something here in Kelowna or even across Canada and really ask those questions of, you know, what kind of change has taken place within this building or this monument? Why was it even built in the first place? Okay, that sort of thing. Was there a change? Okay, so that's that idea, okay? So definitely, that's another aspect. Like I always think when I look at even the schools around Kelowna, I always find the names really interesting of our schools, right? I find that super interesting. So like when my niece and nephew were going to the new school that was just built over on the west side, Marjacques, I was like, that's a really weird name, Marjacques Elementary. Like where did that come from, right? And there is a story behind that. So that's another twist that you can look at, right? Where did that name come from? Okay, here's one that is super big that most students really lean into, right? And this is that personal interest. If you've got a passion, if you've got a personal interest in something, explore that interest, right? If you are playing hockey and you love hockey, do something with hockey, okay? So like this little guy, he did hockey sticks and how they've changed and evolved over time, right? Which is actually an amazing topic, right? How has technology changed? Why is the hockey stick changed? Right? That sort of thing. So he asked some really great questions around the hockey stick. Absolutely, absolutely, Caitlin. Okay? So that's just another idea. You want to take something that you're passionate about and turn it into a project. Okay? Yes, so Caitlin, let's address that right now, right? If you guys did the Heritage Fair last year and you love your topic, absolutely, you can use the same topic, but you have to do a different angle on it. Does that make sense? So you can't just show me your same poster board that you did last year. There's got to something, you got to go deeper, you've got to go, right? That sort of thing. It can be the same topic, but you've got to either ask another question, it's got to go way deeper into what you researched than last year. Okay? Yes. Perfect. Okay. This one, a few people really dove into this one last year as well. And that is family history. So maybe you're talking with your parents or your grandparents and you find out that there's some sort of connection between your family and Canadian history, right? I know too bad Belle isn't here because her project last year really showcased this, okay? Her and Shiloh from grade 9 did a project together and both their families had connections to World War II, right? And so they used that family connection and told the story of World War II through their family members' eyes. Okay, so it was really good. So you really can take that family history and link it to a larger story. Like this little guy, he did the HBC and how that influenced the settlement of Canada, and why he chose that topic was because his grandparents sold furs to the Hudson's Bay Company, right? So there was that connection there, okay? So that, and then that obviously sparked his personal interest as well. So some of these things are actually intertwined, right? Now, you can also take a look at national history. So it doesn't have to be around Kelowna. It doesn't have to be local. It doesn't even have to be provincial, right? It can be national. It can be Canadian history, right? So this is just an example of a project that was done, you guys, around Japantown. And really, again, it's a part of history, a part of Canadian history that has really been forgotten, okay? So this student really wanted to bring that back into the forefront of people's eyes. And so she did a project here as well on that. All right. Yeah, I think I used this one as a sample last year as well because of not just the topic, but also of how eye-catching it was, right? It tied in the aesthetics with the project as well, okay? Yeah, Christiana, there has to be a Canadian tie. There has to be. That's like the one stipulation. So if you want to look at something that has to do with world history, like how Belle did last year, she looked at World War II, but it was through her grandparents' eyes, which was through a Canadian content, right? Because her grandparents were part of the Canadian infantry and stuff like that, right? So they told it through the Canadian role that they played, okay? So this one is actually becoming much more prevalent in Heritage Fair in the recent years, okay? Yes, absolutely. But Christiana, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what you would have to do. You would have to somehow find what is Canada's role in the upbringing or the growth of skateboarding worldwide, right? Are there some famous Canadian skateboarders that have really brought Canada to the forefront of that sport? That sort of thing, right? Yeah, you're gonna have to tie it in. Yeah, okay? It's always about you, Caitlin, always. So another big thing is the social justice topics, right? You guys, this is becoming really prevalent in the Heritage Fair. So This grade 9 student did one on should the government apologize for the treatment of immigrant children. Again, she did this project because she found out that, again, her great-grandparents were immigrants that came over as children. So there was a little bit of a personal tie-in as well. But there's lots of Heritage Fair projects that are going on around, you know, like the residential schools and Indigenous rights. Even around same-sex marriage, like a lot of those ideas are being thrown out and Canada's role in that. So that's another idea as well, okay? So that's a big one. The last one that I wanted to mention to you guys was this one as well, is puzzling questions. So if you've got some really interesting questions in the back of your mind, maybe we can bring that in as well. So some kids start actually with a question that they want to ask, right? So this student actually, there's two kind of questions in this student's project, was how did the natives assist the British in the War of 1812? But then he put a twist on it, and would the British have lost without them, right? So there's a little bit of that what if question in there. And then that's how, and then he answered that. Okay. So great questions, you guys. Heritage Fair, Mr. Fender and I were just looking at the dates. You have all of spring break to work on your projects. We're going to be doing the actual Heritage Fair, like the school Heritage Fair, the week of April 9th, I think. It's the second week back from spring break, okay? So I don't have a specific date yet because I still have to book Hollywood Road, okay? And that's totally fine. If you guys aren't here, obviously, Caitlin and Sean, we do it online. You guys just meet with me at a specific time, and then you guys present to me online. Yeah, so Caitlin, just like how we would with like, we'll get on Blackboard, right? Or on Zoom. And then you guys can actually just like show me your projects, or you'll end up sending me photos, whatever, okay? You guys, let's talk about, if you have specific questions about your project, I'll answer those after, okay? When you're actually getting into topics, okay? So, because your project ideas so far sound fantastic. All right. So I think that's all I have for this one, you guys, for showcasing the kind of way that you can look at different topics. So now what I want to do is I want to actually give you guys some time to delve in and actually look at some different topics. Okay. So I want you to download the following worksheet. So in the assignment, you guys, on how to find a good topic, there's this download button. And what it does is it's going to bring up this topic investigation worksheet. Okay. So you need to select a topic, but, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to have a plan B and I want you to have a plan C. So I actually want you to find 3 topics that really interest you. Okay. Because I find that, you know, you start doing some research and you find out, you know what, I don't like this topic anymore, right? Yeah, right, Emily? Yes, she was. So I want you to have backup plans just in case, right? So I want you to choose 3 topics, and you're going to just do a quick little preliminary search, just the quick little who, what, when, where, and why. Okay, what's going on in these topics, any other interesting facts that you might want to include. And then once you're done, yes, absolutely, Emily. Yep, for sure. And then once you're done, then you're like, okay, now I know specifically which topic I want, and I want you to circle that topic. Okay, so that's the one you're going to focus on. That is going to be submitted into Moodle so that I can see exactly where you guys are looking at, okay? That's big for me to make sure you're on the right track. And then you're going to submit it into this assignment, okay? Then as a reflection, I want you to complete a compass point. So in the online text box, I want you to complete the following questions. What do you still need to know about Heritage Fair? What are you excited about? Okay, about Heritage Fair. What are some maybe suggestions that you might have, especially for those of you that have even been through Heritage Fair before? What are maybe some suggestions that you think could really help you or other people who haven't been part of Heritage Fair before? What are some tips or tricks that you might want to suggest to people? And I can incorporate that into the next couple of lessons. Okay. And then what are you worried about in regards to the project? Is there anything where you're like, I still have no idea, right? Yeah, like Sean, that's a really good tip, right? Especially because it does go over spring break. So it seems like, oh yeah, Miss Ward's giving us a month to do this. But remember, I'm not there to keep hounding you every single day, right? To work on your project. So what I'm going to do is I want to give you guys about half an hour to go in, do some topic, delving into your topics, and finish off this reflection, okay? And then we're gonna go on into the next lesson because I need to get going with questions for you as well. All right, so let's put 30 minutes up on the timer, okay? And you guys can delve into your topics, okay? So go ahead and get started. and gentlemen, I've disappeared. Come on back into Blackboard. Give me those green check marks just so I know that you are back. And I want to do a quick little check-in with you guys to see where you are at. All right. So Angelina, if you're there, Emily, Caitlin P, Christiana, give me those green check marks, you guys. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to clear that poll because now I want to know how many of you guys have, that's okay, Luna. And even if you're not finished, here's my question to you guys. How many of you for sure have, you know, which topic you have that you want to look into? How many of you have made a clear choice? Okay. Give me a green check mark just so I can see the visual. Okay, so and give me a red X if you have not. All right, so I should see either a red X or a green check mark beside your name. Okay. All right, so it looks like about half and half. Yeah, and that's okay. So even if you don't have your topic completely figured out, I think you might have an idea, right? And even if you're not done that sheet, that's okay as well. Just make sure by next class, obviously that sheet needs to be uploaded along with your reflection, okay? Because what I want to do next, you guys, is actually move on to that next, the next assignment, which is selecting the right question. Because now that you have a topic, okay, or at least you've narrowed your topic down, right, to at least 3 choices, or maybe you're looking now at just 2 choices, which is totally fine. Once you have your choice, we need to come up with a question. And maybe the choice that you think you might have, maybe it's really hard to select and actually create an inquiry question out of that, or an essential question. I use those 2 terms interchangeably, okay, you guys, an essential question or an inquiry question. So just realize that maybe you're like, oh, maybe I do need to go to my second choice. It might be easier to come up with a question to answer, right? So what I want to do is I want to, because now the question probably becomes for you guys, is now you have this topic, so like, now what, right? Or I've got a couple of topics, and now what? Well, we need to hone in that topic, because your topic might be pretty broad. We need to formulate an essential question or an inquiry question so that you can answer it in your project. All right? So what I want to do is the following. I want you to each individually watch this video, okay? I believe it is, let's see, just over 4 minutes. So I will give you 5 minutes, you guys, to watch the video, okay? At the end of the video, it actually poses a task for you to do. And I am going to ask you guys to partner up, and after the video, I'm going to partner you guys up and you're going to do that task. Okay? So it's getting you guys thinking about questions and how to formulate a question around a topic. Okay? Because then we're going to be able to really hone in on answering that and focus our research when we get to that stage. So let's take 5 minutes. I want you to watch the video, you guys, and then be prepared in partners to follow those steps and come up with some really good essential questions. That's the task at the end of the video. All right? So 5 minutes. Go ahead and watch the video. All right. Right, Emily? I like that one too. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you did finish, give me a green check mark. Okay, once you're done, you might have just finished. Maybe you never even got a chance, right, Caitlin P? Perfect. Okay, so now at the end, it actually gave you a task, right? It actually said, use those steps to create an essential question using the two following topics, education and food. Okay? Oh, good, Caitlin. So you saw some of it. So now what we're going to do is I want to actually partner up, and I want you guys to actually come up with some, oh my goodness, there we go. I want you to actually come up with essential questions as for those two topics. So within your partners, okay, you just need to come up with one essential question for education, one for food. Okay, those are broad topics, you guys. Broad topics. So you can take this however you want. All right. Okay, so here we go. So let me clear this. Okay, so here we go. So Caitlin T and Caitlin P, Emily and Bryn, Jocelyn and Jess. Jocelyn and Jess, you guys all have to chat in the main room, right? Cassie and Slade, Christiana and Luna, Angelina and Kaylin, Paige and Sean, and then Dean and Maddie, if you guys want to partner up, okay? So I'm going to give you guys, say, I don't know, how long do you guys need to think of some questions? Maybe 10 minutes, I'm thinking. Okay, 10 minutes to come up with some essential questions for both of those topics. Just one question each, right? For one question for education, one for food. And we'll see what we come up with. All right? Okay, so we'll give you guys 10 minutes. Go ahead. All right, grade 10s, come on back. Give me a green check mark. Even if you didn't get around to doing two, like both education and food, that's all right. Okay, even if you just got around to getting an education one, that's totally fine. We will share what we have, and I want to go through this with you guys because you guys actually came up with some really good questions, but you also came up with some really great non-essential questions. Okay, and that's good, Jess. So if you have an idea, throw it out once we do it as a group, okay? And we can decide whether or not it's essential or not. Just because your question isn't necessarily essential doesn't mean that it's not a great question, right? What we need to remember though is that when we do our essential question or our inquiry question, it needs to meet some criteria. And we're going to go over that criteria in a second. But before we do, let's start with education. What are some of the questions that you guys came up with around education? And let's decide, are they really essential or are they just really good questions, right? Okay, so Caitlin, I saw that question. I love that question. I think, do you mean more of as a measure of expertism? Yeah, right? Why is education so important? I like that one. Okay, so, yeah. So, these are great, you guys. How can our school system improve? I like that. Does homework improve a child's learning? Good. Okay, so these are great questions, you guys. Keep typing them in. Why is education? Good, good. Okay, so keep typing because now, good. Okay, so those are our education ones, right, you guys? So I'm just going to go back because I want to go back to, here is essentially, if you scroll down to the assessment, you guys, here's essentially what an inquiry question or an essential question must have, okay? It has to be open-ended, all right? It typically doesn't have a single, final, or a correct answer, okay? It's those debatable questions. It's thought-provoking and intellectually engaging. It really does spark discussion and debate, okay? It calls for that higher order thinking, whether you're analyzing something, whether you're making an inference, you're evaluating, you're making a prediction, it can't effectively be answered by recall alone. And not just recall, just doing some quick research, okay? It really points towards important transferable ideas and sometimes across disciplines. So sometimes it's going to discuss, we can get into the science behind things or the cultural aspects or whatever. That's about that transferable ideas within disciplines. It raises other questions, right? It requires support and justification, not just a yes or no, okay? And it recurs over time. Can we constantly go back to that question and keep asking that same question? And maybe the answer is going to change, right? It's got to be revisited again and again. That's essentially the criteria around your essential question, okay? Now, when you go, can I just open this up, you guys? Because I'm trying to think, did I include that in here? I did. Okay. So here is basically the same criteria, okay, in almost more like student speak. It's a little bit easier to understand, right? So did it invite thinking, right? You can't find the answer through a simple internet search. It can't be simple yes or no. It comes from curiosity or puzzlement, okay? It points towards that big idea in history, okay? Does it look doable? Does it interest you personally? Does it require support and justification? Does it make you think about something that you've never even considered before? Does it lead to more good questions? And anything else, Okay, so that's just another, those are some other criteria. They're still very, very similar, right, you guys? So if I scroll back or go back to your guys' questions here and we take a look at these questions now, right? So why do we use education as a measure of expertise? What do you guys think? Is that an essential question? Yeah. Yeah, I think it is too, right? It's that deeper level thinking. Yeah, because really then we can even discuss too, well, what do we mean by expertise? What makes someone an expert? Right? And why do we use education to do that? Right? That's a great essential question. Okay? What about why is education so important? Is that an essential question? Yeah, we can go way deeper into that, right? Absolutely. What about this one? What are the requirements to count as a fruit or a vegetable? Not saying that these are not bad questions, right, you guys? Not saying that. Not an essential question. It's a great question. Okay. Oh, no, we don't, but that's okay. Totally fine, right? But really, there's a yes or no answer to that. There's an answer, right? It doesn't provoke deeper thinking, right? How can our school system improve? Yeah, how can our school system improve? Yeah, this one, I think I think if we reworded it, it could be an even better essential question. Yeah, because I think we could, because really, if we just said, how could our school improve, then you just kind of get a list, right? But I think if we actually reworded it, it could become a little bit more of an essential question, right? And again, does homework improve or worsen a child's learning? Do you guys think that's an essential question? With maybe some tweaking again, though, because worsen, not really a word. Right, Bryn? But yeah, because there's that debatable aspect, right? Absolutely. So Paige's question, is school not only educating kids, but it's helping them find their passions? Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, right? These are some really good questions, you guys, right? I'm just going to skip down to Jess's because I actually like Jess's. If women did not get their rights, like going to school or even getting the right to vote, how would education be different? I love that one. That's a really good essential question, Jess. Okay, absolutely. So fantastic, you guys. So I'm going to leave the food ones, okay, because you really you're starting to understand. So now if I head back into the assignment, let's actually practice a little bit more. These essential questions are based on just the BC Gold Rush, just because most of you guys have studied the Gold Rush and you will have some background knowledge on this, okay? Okay, Caitlin T, what was your food one? Type it in, we'll take a look at it. Yeah, right? Do you guys see that? What is the definition of good food? That is a good one, I like that. Yes, Emily, of course. If you guys want to share, looks like you guys want to share your food ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Emily, I'll answer that. Sugar. That's actually an easy one. Okay, so I think some of these still need to be tweaked around to make an essential question, right? You know, like Luna, that's a great question. Does a raw or vegan diet improve health? Okay. Is that really an essential question? I don't know, because there's scientific research out there, right? That, yeah, plant-based diet improves your health, right? So it's a fantastic question, but it might need to go a little bit, we might need to reword that, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what makes certain food healthy or unhealthy? Okay, again, I think we can kind of answer that, right? We kind of know that, right? We can easily research that, right, you guys? So yeah, so let's practice. Let's go to these ones, back to the gold rush, okay? Let's answer these. Which gold rush had the most influence on Canada? The Fraser River, Caribou, or Klondike? Is that essential or no? I'm not actually asking you to answer these, you guys. Is it an essential question? Why are we saying no? It can be answered. Well, is it an easy answer? Interesting, you guys. I would have said that it was yes, that it was an essential question, because really you're taking a look and comparing. It's getting that higher order thinking, because you actually have to compare all those different gold rushes, right? But Jocelyn, if you just typed that into the internet, absolutely, right? You would probably get an answer. But is it the right answer? That becomes the question then too, right? Then you actually have to do some digging into each of these. So interesting that you guys didn't think that was an essential. I thought that was totally an essential question. Interesting. Okay, so maybe it needs to be reworded in a way, right? Yeah. Oh, for sure. And any of this, like if you're not interested, Dean, for sure, if you're not interested in the gold rush, most of these are going to be like, who cares, right? Okay. Now, would you want to be a gold rush miner? Is that an essential question? Good. That is not. It's a great question, but it's too personal, right? It's too personal. It's too much personal information, personal opinion, right? There's not enough research that could go in there, right? Number 3, who was Billy Barker? Is that an essential question? No, that is not an essential question, because that one is easy enough to look up on the internet, right, you guys? Yeah, Jocelyn. Of course, who doesn't know who Billy Barker is, right? Okay, was Matthew Bailey Begbie an effective judge? Would that be an essential question? Yes, because again, there's some debate around that question, right? Depending on your viewpoint, depending on your research. Okay, absolutely, because he was known as the hanging judge, right, you guys? If you've ever been up to Barkerville, you would know who Judge Begbie was. Okay. Number 5, if most of the miners were coming from the violent California gold rush, how did Governor Douglas manage to keep the peace in BC? Would that be an essential question? I think you guys are right. I think if we tweaked it though, it could become one, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just because it's a long question doesn't mean that it's essential, right? Absolutely. Because like look at number 4, right? Was Judge Begbie an effective judge? That's a short question. But the word effective is what makes it an essential question, right? So how many people came to British Columbia for the gold rush? Is that an essential question? Everybody should be typing no. No, 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 right? That's an easy answer, okay? Now, number 7, did the Caribou Gold Rush make people rich? Oh, this one's a thinking one. I knew it would get a mixed one. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm with those people who are kind of sitting on the fence. It's a fantastic question, right? Again, but is it essential? Exactly, Luna. It depends. It may have made some people rich, but other people actually went bankrupt, right? Because so it really depends. Again, I think it needs to be reworded to make it a really good, true, essential question. Okay. Who were the winners and losers in British Columbia's gold rushes? Is that essential or not essential? Right, no. Right? Yeah, exactly. What was life like for the gold miners? Is that an essential question? Again, Cassie, I think if you reworded it, it could be. But the way that it's worded now, it definitely isn't. Because really, what was life like? It was like this, right? But we could maybe reword it to make it a better essential question. And number 10, was it fair for the BC government to place the First Nations onto reserves? Yes, that is an essential question, right? Again, was it fair? Okay, so it's really around the wording of your questions, right, you guys? Okay, so now what we're going to do, you guys are starting to see the difference, and there's two sides. That's right, Dean, right? So now you're starting to really see the difference with the questions. So now what I want you to do is I want you to download this worksheet, you guys, and this is going to help guide you with your question, okay? So I want you to type out a question that you have around your topic. You might have to go back and finish your topic worksheet first, obviously. Figure out what your topic is. Come up with an inquiry question. Then what we're going to do is, not today, but next day, next time I see you guys, how we're going to start out is we're going to actually share our inquiry questions with we'll do some peer assessment to help us out, right, you guys? So is it checked by another student? I'm obviously going to check your questions to make sure, and make sure, did you revise it if need be based on the feedback? Remember that your final draft of your inquiry question has to follow this criteria, right? So make sure, okay? And then maybe one of the questions where you have to answer is you do your research, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your inquiry question, okay? Yes. So no, Jocelyn, I want your inquiry question finished. This does not need to be submitted though. Okay, I did, Belle. Yeah, I did for sure. Okay, so Jocelyn, you need an inquiry question for next day, or this is going out to everybody. You have to have an inquiry question for next day to share, but you do not have to submit this worksheet yet. Okay, next day, this is where we're going to start, and then I will. You guys will submit these, and you'll get some feedback from me as well. Okay. No problem, Kaylin. So if you won't be here next class, you just make sure that, could you get maybe like your mom and dad to check it, right? That sort of thing. Just get some other feedback from somebody else, okay? Just so you get that outside source, right? Okay, so that is that. So that is what you need to submit to me for today, all right? Oh, yes, you are out, okay. Okay, so Caitlin, that's how we're going to start next class. Okay, next class, we're going to do some peer assessment. So like I said, so for today, let's just make this very, very clear to everybody. All right, guys, for today, you need to submit your 3 topics, and one should be circled. That needs to go to the how to choose a right project or right topic. You also need to complete the compass point reflection in the online text box of that assignment. This assignment, there's nothing to actually submit to me yet. You need to come up with a good inquiry question for next class. Okay? The start of next class, we'll get your peers to check. I'll give you some feedback, that sort of thing. Okay? Paige, I'm assuming you mean by topics. It's okay if you only have 2, as long as you've got a backup plan. Okay, I'm just worried that if something goes awry, as long as you've got a backup plan, that's what I'm worried about. Okay, so just make sure you've got that solid backup plan. All right. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that sounds good, you guys. So that is what you need to do. Now, before you leave today, okay, I want you to PM me one word that sums up your learning today from today's lessons. All right, so I want you to PM me, and then obviously if you have any other questions, I'll be in Blackboard for a few minutes just to answer them as well. All right, you guys, don't leave until I respond back to you. All right, have a great day, you guys, and we'll see you next week.